Good evening. First, I just want to apologize for the poor quality of this video. My iPad has conveniently decided to not turn on any longer, so I'm recording this from my phone. So I apologize ahead of time if this isn't as great as my last video. So when looking at the case that I selected for this final project, I picked the one that I developed at the beginning of the block. So a pretty typical case that would walk into my office would be somebody with really general shoulder pain. You know, they don't have a specific mechanism of injury. They don't have specifics at all. They don't. They can't pinpoint the pain. They just know it hurts with some motions at some times, and it's affecting their ability to play slow pitch softball on Wednesday nights, or it's waking them up at night, or general things like that. So when looking at how I would utilize pros in a case like that, I think it's going to help give us more detail on where the patient feels that they're having limitations. Obviously this is something that you're using in tandem with your evaluation and your subjective history collection and all of that. But it would definitely help give a little more insight to a lot of the vague cases that I have walking through my door. So when looking at the instruments that I chose to critique and kind of compare for this assignment, I picked the dash and then the pen. I have all the statistics in my paper, so I'm not going to kind of regurgitate that to you. But overall, my selection would be, at this point in time, would be the dash. I think if you're looking at the subscales that are evaluated, the subscales are very specific to what my patients typically complain of. They complain of effect in their activities of daily living. They complain of not being able to participate in recreational activities like slow pitch, or they have issues trying to shoot their bow during hunting season, things like that. It definitely targets their complaints a lot more than the pen did, I felt. And if you're looking at the populations that kind of validated those tests as well, those populations are the population I work with. So I see a lot of similarity, and I feel like that would work well together. When figuring out, the measurement of change, obviously we use the minimal detectable change. Did I say that right? Minimal detectable change and minimally important change to evaluate error versus the smallest perceived amount of benefit that a patient compares. If you're looking at the MDC and the MIC for the dash, it would be 12.4 for the MIC and 16.3 for the MDC respectively. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much improvement you need to see after each reassessment using the dash to see that you're having improvement from a meaningful change standpoint for your patient, and that error isn't affecting the results that you're seeing. When looking at implementation, I would start with day shift. I've said that in the past when we've talked about, implementing different kinds of projects. When we talked about the QI project, it was the same idea. I would start with day shift, and that's primarily because it's our lowest traffic times, at least for right now. Hopefully it stays that way. So it's the lowest, we see the smallest amount of people during day shift. We get more time to spend with them. And we get more time to really sit down and kind of figure out what's going on with that person. So I think days would be a great opportunity to start utilizing pros. I also think shoulders specifically, or just upper extremity injuries, since I'm using the dash for this example, but would be a great place to start. Our shoulder injuries are our most expensive when you're looking at how much workman's comp spends to reimburse that patient, to take care of that patient, what their overall costs are for surgery, physical therapy, paid time off, lost wages, things like that. So starting on days and then probably with the shoulder would be a great place to start. So utilizing the dash and figuring out how that kind of fits into, our clinical practice. And then when looking at how to expand that over time, we would obviously we want to get to using it on a regular basis with night shift. Night shift is where the majority of our injuries occur. It's where the majority of our recordable injuries occur. So we want to be able to use those instruments with our night shift employees. But I think we need to start with days and kind of work out all the kinks before we move into all shifts and all temps. In the long run, I would love to have a region-specific pro, not just upper extremity, but lower extremity, low back. Probably our second leading injury would be low back injuries. So finding a region-specific instrument that works well for our population would probably be my second long-term goal when looking at how to implement pros in our clinical practice at Dot Foods. So that's all I got. So thank you for another great block, and have a wonderful summer. Thank you.